How shocked are you that he won?
Not at all. Haven't you seen his YouTube video?
I have not, but I
Yeah,
will.
well, now he'll be known for something more than his YouTube tape. So no, he's. I'm not surprised with him. He turned down Division I offers, good schools, and really wanted to be at Indiana. He's been well coached. He's an excellent young man. He competes. I mean, our two walk-ons right now. I mean, it's a different place with having two guys that have had that level of scholarship, interest, or in the case of Ryan, that have played. I mean, you're not going to find many better programs than Bellarmine in Division II, and you're certainly not going to find many better coaches than Scott Davenport, and he's had an opportunity to do that along with being from BNL, and Nate's doing a fantastic job. So we're blessed to have those two with us, no doubt.
You know, obviously there was talk about your shooting. This was the first public exhibition of how good that shooting can be.
Yeah, I mean, I was, but we also came off shooters, and what should make us better. We led the league in 3-point shooting last year. I think we were in defense. We were 3-point. We were 12th in the country, and what we've got to do is we've got to be. We should never come off those guys. The hardest place to get threes should be in practice. And I thought a couple times we came off the shooters. But again, when you've got speed and penetration, and that's why it's so important that Troy get to the point where he can handle the ball the way that he does, because when he's flying down that lane, you can't help but react to it. And I thought he played a simple game tonight, which is what we're really trying to get these guys to understand. The better the player you are, the more simpler the game should be. And when you're working hard on your fundamentals and your skills and your vision and you're making the simple pass, it's amazing what can happen. But I thought our ball movement was good. I think it'll continue to get better. And we missed some shots that we'll make. But I think the days of us being concerned about we're going to make enough threes to be in games, I don't think that's going to happen very often. It may happen some, but I don't think it's going to happen very often.
The passing of the pants, is that something we'll see next year?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can't take credit for that. That was a great idea that was presented to me, and I loved it. So I think it's fantastic, and I think it will really take off as a tradition, something that we can make a big part of this. Because really, that's really what it's supposed to be. I don't have the personality to dress up and do those things, or it's not about bringing in. I'd love to have Vic Oladipo come back and sing, but it's not about the hottest act necessarily. I'm not saying we wouldn't do that, but this really is about the tradition of the program, and the fans make it such a great thing. And then to have former players intertwined with the new players, I think it just helps make them understand how big a deal this is.
Any rhyme or reason to the red-white breakout tonight? I know the red seemed to have a little bit more.
No, just what I decided to do based on a late scrimmage yesterday in practice where we switched it all up, and no, just mixing it around. There's no reason really behind that. So the only real reason to have James and Rob over there without Yogi is so that they are forced into a leadership role. And at the same time, when Troy's got the ball in his hands, he knows there's two guys, really three with Max, that ball can be sprayed to, and there's a pretty good chance that it's going to go in. So that's the only thing with that. That was picked more for that.
Where would you say you guys are defensively?
I think we're playing hard. I think we have a lot to learn. I think we're learning a lot. I think it's like I said to them, I think that right now we're in practice shape, and we've got to get more and more to game shape, and you only get game shape by being in the games or being in multi-scrimmages, and we haven't had a lot of scrimmage situations that have just been, that's the longest we've scrimmaged at any one point in time all year since we've been in Montreal, because we're spending a lot of time breaking it down. So what happens is it's not the fatigue that shows up real easily, well, this guy didn't run hard, or this guy didn't cut hard, or this guy didn't have his feet ready. No, it's the fatigue defensively. It's the fatigue where we're maybe not as vocal, or we don't have our ball side foot up on the weak side, or we don't have our hands up as much, or we're not stunting and stepping at the ball. All the little things that we're trying to teach. So I would say the details of it are behind right now when it comes to game speed. They're not behind when it comes to drilling it and working on it, but we've got to get that carryover. But I think the effort and I think the desire, again, to me, I'm watching us come off shooters, and we never do that. And that's the one adjustment that we've made constantly being in the Big Ten, is that you cannot chase the ball in penetration when there's so many good shooters in the league. You've got to defend the shooter. Stop the ball but defend the shooter. So that kind of slippage is there, and we'll work that out.
Now that you're a couple weeks into practice, looking back on the Montreal experience, I mean, how beneficial was that, and how much of a head start do you feel like it's given you on the season?
Well, I think it's given us a lot. I really would have loved to see where Hunter would be after that trip. You know, in the perfect world, you have Emmett, but we were just starting to recruit Emmett when we were heading to Montreal. So, I think it was. I still go with it. It was invaluable because there's a little more carryover on spacing. There's carryover on ball movement. And, you know, we have a lot of guys right now. When you really think about our best shooters, and Nick's getting there. And one thing with Nick was in like 54th in the country in turnover rate a year ago. Okay, turnover percentage rate, which in the good way. You know, we had some guys that were in the highway, you know, but he was in a good way. Well, he's also going to have the ball in his hands a lot more than what he's accustomed to. So he's beginning to become and learn to drive more and do those types of things. But really right now, when you look at three of our higher level shooters, they're also very, very good at driving and getting into the lane, and Yogi, Robert, and James. So that, you know, understanding the dribble as a weapon and not the dribble as a necessity, and really, really getting out and exploding. Well, we were able to work on a lot of that this summer. They were able to see some success from that this summer. So I do think there's carryover to that. But that defensive carryover, we knew, you know, the one thing we didn't do a lot in getting ready for Montreal was a lot of rebounding drills. We didn't do a lot of physical taxing things to get ready, and now we're starting to do more of those. So we'll see some real improvement in not over dribbling. We'll see improvement in continuing to make the next pass. We'll see improvement in our defensive rebounding. We'll see improvement in the sprinting to the offensive board, those type of things. But I think we definitely got a head start on that from being in Montreal.
Coach, only a scrimmage, but James Blackman had just shy of 20 points. What did you think about the way he did? He seemed to do it a little bit better.
I think James Blackman learned there's a difference when Yogi Ferrell gets up on you. And as I said to the team, after you know, briefly before they went out for autographs, there's only one Yogi here to guard. To really, if I say, okay, this guy needs to be shut down, Yogi goes to that guy. And we put him on the post. I mean, he's as good a post defender as many post defenders that do it for a living in this league. And then the one guy that will go at Yogi the same way Yogi will go at him is Robert. And so James has made tremendous strides in all parts of his game, moving without the ball, passing the ball with vision, and still being able to get to the rim and get his shot, making a lot of strides defensively. But it was great for him to have to deal with, all right, now there's not enough space for me when Yogi gets up into me. So we've got to do more of that in practice, because we've always said the best training for Robert and James here is to have to deal with Yogi Ferrell every day. They can deal with him. They're going to be able to deal with a lot of guys. But they've also got to go back at Yogi, because we're continuing to build his role in so many ways.
What have you liked the most about what you've seen out of Robert so far?
I'm not big on the whole, you know, like-dislike thing. I think it's just so much about improvement. I think he's competitive. I think he's a pit bull. I think he's got to gain confidence that he can still be really good when his shot's not there. You know, what happens with new players, especially ones that were high-volume scorers and were as good as he was and as James was, they have to understand there's you can still really impact the game even if the shots aren't there. And I think one of the best things about Robert is we're in Montreal, and I had no idea that he didn't score a point until I was made aware of it after the game, because I never saw that in him during the game. And I think that's a great trait, because that ain't going to happen very often, okay? That when a player can play through what's not happening for them offensively and continue to impact the game on both ends, that makes them a really valuable player. So Robert's got to continue to learn, you know, that's a big part of it. And but I love it. I love his upside. I love the desire to get better. He is an absolute 365-day-a-year guy here right now. That needs to continue when it comes to the extra work. And look, we took 2 days off this week, which we had not done. So we really had 3 days off, because we took Sunday off, practiced for 2 days, took Wednesday and Thursday off. So we knew we'd have a little bit of slippage on that, but I don't think one guy took either one of those 2 days off. And not one guy on his team, basically. So I love the upside of that, and I think guys like Robert and James and Max are a big part of that culture of working extra on their ball handling, their shooting, their driving, all those type of things, even when we're not practicing.
Forgive me, you've probably already been asked this, I ducked in a little late, but you've talked about Hunter just needing to be smoother and more confident.
Were you other team? Were you with the other team? Were you in the other locker room?
I was actually
Okay.
over and getting the other coach's
Okay.
thoughts. Just about Hunter's ability to play smooth in traffic, play confident in traffic. It seemed like he didn't have some of those problems he's had the last couple of years, particularly when he's trying to rebound the ball or catch the ball in traffic.
He's gaining confidence. I mean, it's daily. It's daily. I mean, there's no question about that. And I think that's why spacing is going to be key for us. And we missed him a couple times. But I think what we've got to continue to do is we got to continue to put our guys that don't get guarded as tightly, or it is like Devin may not be pressured at the perimeter on the three-point line, but when he drives, it's at a high volume of making it right now. And so, like, how do we keep mixing guys and finding ways to play to their strengths and keeping the spacing right? Because we went into Hunter after a timeout, and the defense sagged, and the offense wasn't as comfortable throwing it in. You know, so those are all the type of things we've got to be and the answer with Hunter is he's got to do multiple things. Okay, he's got to be able to score at the basket, got to be able to run, rebound, block shots, defend the perimeter, defend the post, and at the same time be able to pass and move the ball to people, and be able to score on rim runs, be able to score on rolls, be able to score in the alley, the break, all those different things. Well, so does everybody else, because that will free it up. We can't become a team that says, well, these one or two guys are the only ones that can score in the post. You know, we've got to be able to slice cut. We've got to be able to get our guards posted, all those type of things. Well, then Hunter's got to be able to make those passes. So the bottom line is we're trying to keep it where Hunter's gaining confidence every day, and the more confidence he gains, the more we can stretch his game. So he's on a good road. He's hungry, and we've just got to stay. I'm not going to over exaggerate it. I'm not going to over compliment him, but you're seeing what we see. He's really working to get better, and we've got to stay on that path.
How's Colin doing in his rehab? I
think fine. You know, we're still on a limit with him, and as far as to his physical contact in practice, and but I thought he did a nice job. You know, to have him be a couple weeks with us before we get to this point, to me, I think he's ahead of where I would have personally thought he would be. And I'm sorry, that's not necessarily what the doctors would have thought, but I think he's ahead of that. So hopefully we can stay with that, because there's times we have to pull him back a little bit, and you know, and we just keep a daily eye on that. Not just a daily rehab eye, not just a daily is it healing eye, but a daily where's he at eye. And I think we're doing fine with that, and we're following his lead.
Anything else for Coach? One more question. How happy were you with the pace of tonight's game, or do you think it could have gone a little faster?
Well, we practiced today. We practiced yesterday, and we practiced already this afternoon. I think, to me, I don't have an answer for that, really. I mean, we're playing against one another. I thought the pace was solid, and you know, I wouldn't look at it and say, well, if they'd have played a 40-minute game, the numbers would be this. I wouldn't look at that, because we're not in game shape yet. We're not in a place where we can really play in that game shape, game speed, and that's just the way that it is. I'm not sure we'd want them in game shape yet, because then you're running into peaking far too early. So, to me, we just got to continue to build it up, and the pace will come. And we haven't even put our presses in and things like that yet, and we're not trapping yet. In trapping ball screens, but we've got to continue to build our base before we can start to really extend it. And we're still right in the middle of trying to build the base. So once you get pressure into the game and sneak attacks and different defenses and things like that, that can even increase the pace.
Thank you, Coach.